Welcome, folks, to 2025. We're the first live show this year of 2025, and we're kicking off our new dial-in phone number, 1-724-9-KPHRED. That's 1-724-9-KPHRED, and our own Dads for Dads will take your questions and get them relayed in. You can chat live at kphred.com, or I think I can even get you if you're going through Facebook's KPHRED radio page. So we got a great guest group today to discuss developing your 2025 success plan. And to start with, it's part one is assessing where you are now, because if you don't know where you are now, there's no way to be happy at the end when you look back at this year. My co-host Barbara Wainwright is semi-living but with us. How you doing, Barbara?
Well, I'm here, which is really great.
You know, I gotta say, you're as bad, if not as worse than me when they kicked me out of the hospital the Tuesday after the heart attack, and the doctor said, my cardiologist said, go home, rest, and relax. And I said, but doc, I got a show to do. And he said, I recommend you go home, rest, and relax. And so after the show, I did.
That's it. And fortunately with technology as it is, I can lie down and do this from a place where I feel comfortable. So it's wonderful.
So, have you got any news for us on the power of now?
You know, we have produced over 200 shows. We've got over 800,000 downloads, and it's something that is very near and dear to my heart. I love producing that podcast, and the last one we did had a really nice meditation at the end of it. So that's all the news there. How about you, Phred? What have you got news for us? I know you've got a lot of news, so come on, share.
All right. So besides getting snow in Chicago, which was, so what? It was cold. It was snowy. What do you expect in Chicago in December? But it was great with the grandkids, and I got to got a face-to-face with Jim and Dorian, which is, I threatened them with bodily injury, and that's why they're both here. Jim even more so. So that was really, really great. We have been dealing with the Blog Talk Radio disappearing after 14 years. And I'm happy to say all the audios have been migrated over, and it looks like the migration is reasonably close to being okay. The development of the new phone number system has been sometimes a pain in the rump. Still ain't perfect, but it actually does make KPHRED one of the few platforms like this to actually have a live dial-in phone number.
That's fantastic, Phred, and I know that took a lot of technical expertise, and I'm feeling like we're really blessed to have Jeff on board to help with that.
It's been a big thing. Getting control of the RSS feed has been even better, because that feed goes into many places. So I don't know, everyone on this call may end up being on the Internet Movie Database, because I know this feed got in there. So remember, all of our guests, I'll be able to put stuff on in the movie database. Sorry, not a threat. Now, to one other comment, in the end of the year meeting, where the KPHRED Advisory Council met and put together the 2025 goal plan, we designated the chief, our CLEO, our Chief Live Events Officer, Kat Becker, who is also feeling worse than Barbara. Shout out to Kat. Which is why she's not here. So whatever it is out there, it seems to be catching to women primarily.
Well, lucky for you, Phred.
I think it's probably kid-born, and I've had enough time around the grandson that I'm developing grandson immunity from disease again.
Don't say that too fast.
It looks like when I caught COVID and went deaf, looks like that's where I caught it from. So it is what it is. You know it. How many grandkids you got?
10. 9 greats.
All right. So so since James, tell everyone about what's the news for a better world. What's the 2025 news for a better world?
2025 for the better world is really, really connecting with Barbara and us really getting this show off the ground, because I think it has a message for the world in this time of confusion, in this time of chaos, in this time of disruption and disrespect. We have in this book a way to be able to speak to that and provide people with insight and perspectives of managing it. So that's where we're starting. And I'm even turning my company from Performance Consulting Services Training Company to Performance Consulting Services Institute.
Ooh.
So it's the Institute piece, which taps into places where Jim has been. So I'm just really excited. And I'm excited about Barbara and our contrast. For us to be talking about diversity, white, beautiful, female, old, black dude, talking about this topic, it's just going to be able to surface some things that people might be uncomfortable to do. But if we do it, then that allows other people to also be comfortable. So that's what I'm looking at. And we're dependent on Brother Phred to take us through this.
Yeah, I'm an old white dude, so what the hell.
That's all right. You cool, though. You're in the background. You running the show. It's good. That's what you guys do.
All right, so let's go to another one of our show co-hosts, Brooke. Bring it on down. Tell our listeners, because this is the first time you're actually here on Down the Rabbit Hole, KPHRED Prime Live. Tell us about the show you're on and who you are. And then Barbara's going to ask you a stunningly rabbit hole question.
All right. Well, I am one of 3 co-hosts for Wise Women Radio. It's myself, Lynn Schuessler-Williams, and Holly Hartman. And we are hosting Wise Women Radio that to interview people. It's actually a conversation. It's not an interview. It's a conversation with women about the transformation, coaching, transformational coaching, spiritual coaching, entrepreneur coaching, just coaching in general, and also lifestyle. So a lot of the people who show up on our show are transformational coaches, and others are people who just really love those kind of conversations. So that's who I am, and that's who I represent today, and that's what it's about.
All right. So Barbara, you got to follow up.
All right,
You're a woman.
Yeah, that sounds very exciting. So, Brooke.
Yes.
What made you decide to create a show? What was the moment that you went, I really want to create a podcast?
Ooh, that's really good. I like that. It's a good woman question.
It's a great question because there's so many, and I was wanting to make sure that it wasn't like all the others. Like to start a podcast and just interview people is the thing to do these days, right?
Yes.
And so what I have had a vision for a long time for something similar to something called Real Talk. And when Lynn Schuessler-Williams is the one that came to me, and we have a networking group of over 1,000 women globally that we work with and collaborate with and amplify and celebrate with weekly and monthly. And we have, so we wanted to bring those women into a conversation for the world to hear. They are women who are thought leaders. Like I said, most of our entrepreneurs, not all of them, were about 70-30%. 70% entrepreneurs, but they're thought leaders, and they're bringing the new to the world, the light into the world. And we wanted to have a conversation, not where we are just grilling people or promoting business, but a conversation around different subjects that we feel will, bring people to to a higher place in their mind and in their body.
All right. So, yeah.
That wasn't a moment, but that the moments were several moments that came together and collided. And then I think Phred said, let's do it. That was the moment when it happened.
All right. Well, I think it's really important what you said, especially when you know somebody that has a lot of value, and just having that conversation between you and a couple other people is one thing, but when you can bring it to the world, that's a whole nother level.
Yes.
All right. So my follow-up question, just because I am Phred and we know it's coming, is like your listenership. It's not just restricted to women. Men can listen, or alternatively designed human beings can listen.
Yes. Right. You're correct. It is. We actually have, our listeners are everyone. And the reason we intentionally had Wise Women Radio is because of our women's networking group. And again, we amplify and celebrate them. We collaborate. There's not competition. So we decided to do this with the women of our group. However, and people who might want to bring, however, a lot of the conversations men love, the whole world really can, many people around the world would benefit from the conversations that we're having.
Excellent. I'm especially glad that we're not being exclusionary. That would
not
be bad.
At
All
all.
right. Jim's a co-host on Pillars Principles. Any news on upcoming guests or topics that we're going to discuss on episodes? I can tell AI is one of them just from earlier today.
That we will do, but that in the context of sort of real world applications of at least what's called AI, without being overly specific about what is or isn't, to the helping businesses grow and be more efficient. There actually are quite a number of applications for what is called AI. Whether or not it really is, it doesn't make too much difference, because it actually can be very helpful. And so it's sort of the general gist of the show is various aspects of helping businesses grow and be successful. So I think applying AI to that is one serious opportunity that most businesses are not aware of.
Excellent. I always go back to Agent Smith of equipping your civilization when we started doing your thinking for you. All right.
Well, it doesn't quite do that yet. But.
Yeah, but there are already idiots letting it do them for them. And it's that there's a reason we don't give sticks of dynamite to everybody, because people are stupid. All right, enough of that rant. It's going to be an interesting 2025 dealing with AI. Deanna, host of Neurodivergent News. What's the news of that we've got coming up in your show?
We are actually getting ready to pivot towards having a live segment every week where we'll have a panel to discuss things that are going on in the neurodivergent community.
That's awesome news. Any time we should expect to see the calendar invites on the site?
Within the next 30 days, I would say. It's my February goal.
Excellent. Ooh, you heard it here. All right, so now we are lucky we got 4 different guests here, ranging from people I've known all this life. All right, all this life, all the second life, because I'm actually in my 3rd life at this point. So almost a pre-second life, or not pre-second life, but into Second Life. So, to kick off our topic of building a 2025 success goal, assessing where you're at, I'm gonna ask, my oldest friend on here, Wilton Adams, come on down. He fights with his legal firm so that they do what's in their best interest, which I gotta tell you, dude, lawyers not doing things in their own best interest kind of shakes one of my core principles. I mean, that's almost like Chicago politicians doing what's right.
Well, let's see. As an example of some of the things that we've been dealing with as a firm, this concept of remote work and using alternative means to I don't want to say create knowledge, but to help create knowledge. We've been struggling with getting people to come back to the office. And while it might not necessarily sound like that's the worst thing in the world, understanding how most law firms work, for a number of them, there's kind of a churn that takes place. You get a bunch of new associates in. They're there for a period of time, and either they advance and they become partners, or they leave. Now, over that time, they're supposed to acquire knowledge of how to be lawyers. Typically, that's done with working with lawyers who have been working on it for longer than they have. An apprenticeship of sorts, that due to remote work and the stuff, of course, that started with COVID, that's happening less. And there are a number of people who are concerned with that, reducing the quality of the work that gets done. I'm not saying that we're doing bad work yet, but I can see that, things might happen where the lawyering isn't as good as it could be, and then that's going to cause a number of people to start looking in other places for how they could get this work done. One of them, of course, being AI. Whether or not it's actual AI or whatever, but it's a discussion. It's out there. I mean, there's already an issue with it possibly affecting billing for a law firm. If an attorney uses AI or machine learning or whatever to help them write a brief or to help them respond to something, can they bill that time? So that becomes an issue in how we're going to deal with that, and what plans we have in place to perhaps not be the law firm that has to turn itself over to this technology because of some of the missteps we've taken.
All right. So what I hear from you, and then I'll let Barbara make a comment, but from what I hear from you is lawyers don't want to go back into work because they'll be closer to other lawyers, so they're not nearly as strenuous on getting the stuff done that they should be getting done.
Well, no. Actually, it's not that they don't want to be around other lawyers. Come on, don't do this to me. It has more to do with time, and it really is that simple. It's a matter of time. Every attorney, no matter what level they're at, they have to bill X number of hours, right?
I get it.
Okay. But so your time becomes that much more valuable in terms of non-billable time, up to and including commuting.
Yeah.
If you can spend the bulk of your time sitting in your home office and you can run a deposition from there, you've just gained time.
I get
Billable
it.
time, where you didn't have to go anywhere or do anything. Well, not do anything, but I think you get the meaning of what I'm saying here.
Yeah, I got a couple of legal lawyer clients. It's all good. One who's doing well on
Right.
TikTok.
Okay, so that begins to influence the behavior of your senior level attorneys,
Okay.
right? And again, if they're taking advantage of that to help them do their jobs, there can be a negative fallout of that, meaning they're not helping the next wave coming up to their level.
So, all right. So we're going to move on, but I'm going to ask this last question. So, what's the computer rig you take with you to do remote support when you're out on the bike?
Okay, this is the part where I get really geeky. I don't take one machine, I take two. I mean, depending on what it is I'm trying to fix and how I'm trying to fix it. I have my work machine, which is a Windows box, and I have my work assist machine, which is a Mac. So yeah, that tends to be how I go about things.
Yeah, I can't. I got a storage locker with a desktop and multiple monitors and all the computer hardware you'd ever need in Chicago. I can't criticize.
I'm not talking about what's on my desk. I'm just talking about what I carry with me.
Yeah, I know. Barbara,
Anyway, enough about that. Sorry.
you got a question for him? Because Barbara's actually started life as a geek too.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, so I think it's very interesting that you mentioned being concerned about billing for an AI brief when in fact you would need to have the wherewithal to present or ask the right questions of the AI in order to get a brief that would be good enough to submit. And then the other thing about that is, of course, I would imagine you'd be reviewing that brief because you can't really trust that the AI would put out something that would be 100%. So it seems like it might. That's the way I talked to a kid who was in high school. This is a few years ago when ChatGPT just came out. I said, you could use ChatGPT to get your essay written, his senior essay. He goes, oh, no, I don't want to cheat. I said, well, don't think of it as cheating. Think of it as a head start, because that's really what it is. Anyway, so I think that would be true for, I would want somebody to use the AI in addition to their own intelligence to create something for me. That's just my opinion.
But the overall hours would still be less than if you had the original document created from scratch, would it not?
Yes, and that would be okay, I think. I mean, it is that kind of benefits your client in that maybe you don't have to bill quite as many hours because you had an assist. So it benefits the client, but I would imagine it also make your life easier too.
It would reduce the number of billable hours, and that
is the key statement.
That's the key.
Nobody wants to hear
one of
that,
the keys anyway. I mean, just as an aside, I mean, firms don't necessarily think this way in terms of technology now, but I have heard a story about a firm using a particular piece of technology that was slow. And people would ask, well, why do you use this thing that slows your work down? And the answer was, Work gets done slower, takes longer, more billable hours, better for me.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a competition. It's a competition of ideas, and we still have yet to figure out how that's all going to work. But right now, at the very least, it's an interesting discussion.
Absolutely.
So,
Thank you.
We're going to make sure we play this to I don't know. Pleased to meet you. Won't you guess my name? We're going to need to because this is a really interesting topic of how AI and technology change law firms. So Wilton just figured out that he's going to be repeating on regularly on at least one show about this topic. Potentially the new KPHRED news and report. He didn't realize that until I just said that, but I love this. This is a really good topic. So, as I try to talk again, Barbara, why don't you introduce Richard so we can continue this and ultimately get to everybody and discuss the 2025 assessing where you're at, because we haven't touched that one yet.
All right. Well, I'd love to introduce you to Richard Hughes. He is a recently certified professional coach, but has a long history of working as a recruiter for, I'll say, professionals, in that he has placed many police chiefs and fire chiefs. Welcome, Richard.
Hi. How is everyone? I'm gonna talk a little bit about this remote work. I think it's detrimental in a lot of cases, and I'll tell you why. Because you don't have the interaction of the other associates. Now, we're talking about AI now, and but AI used to be you'd go into the office and you'd be able to talk to your associates, and they would give you ideas. Okay, you'd say, "I've got a problem," and they'd say, "Oh, that's interesting. Maybe I could pick your brain a little bit about that." Even getting back to the basics of when you went to school. Okay, when you went to school, you learned not only from the teacher, but you learned from the other students. And the reason I've become associated with Barbara, besides she's a wonderful woman, and she's got a great sense of humor, which I like people with a good sense of humor, but she has the technology figured out, okay? And I deal more on an individual basis. When it comes down to recruiting people and helping people, I find that if you can have an opportunity to get face-to-face with them and ask the pertinent questions and find out what they're all about, and it may not even be what they know about their potential position, but just find out who they are as a person, and then it makes it much easier for me to recommend them for a position down the road. And so what I'm trying to do is I want to do a broad-based sort of helping all the fire chiefs and police chiefs and EMS people, all the people dealing with stress. But I find that the more that I can do personally or on a Zoom call on an individual basis, the better I can help them. And I find that if you help one person, just one person, and make their life better, what it'll do is it'll take their circle of influence and improve their circle of influence. They'll be a better father, a better mother, they'll be a better associate at work, they'll be a better friend. And by doing that, what it does is I'm sort of working from the ground up on improving people's lives. And my association with Barbara is where she does great one-on-one things, but she also has the whole system figured out. And so what we're trying to do is work from the bottom up, helping individuals, and then have the mass figuring it out. And we'll come together at somewhere in the next couple of years to the fact that we can help more people by obviously being able to do the one-on-one things. But once you do a one-on-one with somebody, you'll find that they'll thank you so much, they'll be telling other people. Okay, and then what it does is it just makes everybody's lives better. Okay, I've done talking.
Okay, so So now you got past the easy Californian question.
Yeah.
So
Sure.
my question then becomes, because, well, my pronouns were once described as PITA, PIMA, and PIYA, pain in the ass, pain in my ass, pain in your ass, as Marie's, who will be on.
I can find them very appropriate.
Yeah, it is.
No, I'm just kidding.
and I said to my daughter a couple of years back, I think I'm becoming grumpier, and she said, "No, Dad, you're not becoming grumpy. You're just embracing your inner grump more." Which I thought about, and the more I've done, embrace that. Actually, KPHRED has happened because of our phone engineer, Mr. Jeff Norris, Dads for Dads. That's the voice every once in a while you pop in and hear. He helped me embrace that inner grump and launch this crazy radio station. So my question is I hear the one-on-one. How does what technology avenues are you looking at using in 2025 to get to that wider audience? Because I give you the ripple effect. I even now at times have people come back to me and say, you said this to me years ago, it made a phenomenal, and until somebody does that, you never quite get the ripple effect. So I get the one-on-one ripple effect, everyone becomes happier, but what technology tools, we've been talking a lot about AI, and I'm not saying AI helps, because stupid humans programs AI, which means it does sometimes stupid things, and that's critical not to have happen when you're dealing with what you're dealing with. But what tools out there, digital channels, are you contemplating using to expand audience in 2025?
Well, that's what Barbara and I are working on, okay, is that I think to myself, there's no sense reinventing the wheel, okay? She has over nearly 7,000 coaches that she's trained through the world, and I just feel that I could sit here and pretend and trip and fall and do that. Instead, I'm going to work with Barbara, and I sort of listen to her when it comes to the technology. Not that I can't make up my own mind on things, but as I said, why sort of try and reinvent the wheel when I don't have to? And the thing is, there was a mention from I think it's Brooke, who was talking about working with the women's group there, and I think that is so important, okay, because I had a wonderful mother who died much too young. I had a great grandmother that was fantastic. And I have 3 beautiful daughters, and they're all in one of them's an emergency nurse, and the other one works for Canadian Mental Health, okay, and helping people. So I have great insight into the people, but I find that once I talk to someone, it's amazing. If I can build a relationship, that relationship will expand. For instance, I've been interviewing police chiefs and fire chiefs over the last month, and all with one of the situations with the fire is he's saying to me, "Get me something that I can send out to all the other fire departments." Now, in Ontario alone, there's 444 fire departments in Ontario alone. So I think that will be a great start. And this fellow is a former military colonel, and he's a fire chief now, and he's a wonderful fellow, and I've got a great relationship. So I know he is going to be someone that is going to be saying, listen to this person, read what he's sending you, and have a conversation. So, and as I said, as this develops, as I need more technology, I will say to Barbara, okay, what are we going to do about this? And as I said, I like smart women, and Barbara happens to be one of them, so she'll help me with that. And the rest of you can help me too.
Smart women. Barbara.
Yes.
What's the advisory board council made up of? How many women?
Fred, I haven't done a head count, but it's quite a few. I think we might outnumber the men.
Yeah, although Jim just joined it also. So he and Howard give balance. And by the way, Howard Larson actually, after a meeting, came out kind of, okay, yeah, you're right, we're going to do it this way. So Deanna, don't feel bad. The PhD in marketing came up after a Phred meeting like that recently, as Marie would say, a tongue lashing. Marie Roth. So Marie is the first real Californian I met when I got here. She, from what I remember, when we met back in 2017, you had never been out of the state yet.
Well, I had done some camper traveling with Grandma and Grandpa, but
so like
really nothing since I was 3 or 5 years old. It's true. So, and now she works in the healthcare industry and has been an advocate of many causes. Here's a good primer question. How is AI going to change the healthcare industry? What do we got to watch out from AI insurance scams or other things? Well, that's interesting. I'll give you it just from my particular perspective, and I'll elaborate a little bit more about what I exactly do as my profession. So I'm an employee benefits advocate. I work for an insurance brokerage who puts together employee benefits packages for employers to offer their employees. And once this is done, we come in member facing, meaning we're not working so much with the client who has asked for our services, but I'm here as an advocate for the end user, basically the person who's utilizing the insurance. And we have a phone line that our clients' members can call, and they ask us for help on a myriad of things. And anything from how do I log into my enrollment portal to how do I make my insurance work? How do I find a provider? I got a claim and they didn't pay as much as I thought they should. It runs the gamut. I've been doing this now for 5 years, and I always am getting questions I've never even heard of before. So just last year, I was introduced to the chat GPI, I think, or GPT, or whatever it is. Yeah. And I thought, oh, dear Lord, here we go. This is a nightmare just waiting to happen, because to me, it's not authentic. It's not human. It's, we're asking basically a computer to think for us, which I believe can develop some really bad habits, because it's hard enough thinking for ourselves just as humans, right? So I was a little skeptical about it, but I did see some uses for it when writing articles. We do a little newsletter for our members that, that was one of the questions we had several years ago. I was like, how in the world are we going to make our job interesting and relevant to people who are going to be reading this newsletter about employee benefits? So I get to put the humor part of it and the real. It's like, let's make it real. This is a real thing that people are dealing with every day. And so I'll use myself as an example for a lot of, the silly, serious types of topics. And we just bring it to level. Now, I cheat. I call it I think it's cheating. I type in a question about diabetes medications in order to kind of a starter for a conversation about how we can educate and advocate to our members. But it's super helpful. But I'm not going to trust every single thing that's going to pop out. And so we do, definitely need to put some human eyeballs on what is being produced for us based off of the questions that we're asking. So to answer your question, Phred, I think there's definitely it's an aid. I think it can make things go a little bit quicker. And kind of going back to the attorney in our meeting here, can it save time? because we still need to check it, and we still need to make sure it has a human element to it that is personable, and people aren't feeling like, what's the worst thing when you get on, when you're, calling a 1-800 number is you're going to get an automated system. It drives me crazy. Well, I think that if people aren't going to be using the AI authentically, then we'll be able to see right through it. It's not authentic, and people aren't going to particularly like it. So I just think we need to be careful with it. It sounds like a great aid. And then, of course, this also goes back to what Richard Hughes was talking about, and the other gentleman about getting folks back into the office. We're having the same issue. Right now, our company has been very, very, very lenient about allowing us to continue to work remotely. And just this year, in January this year, a call to the wild has been sent out to please come back to the office at least 3 days a week. And but for all the reasons, what I've noticed, we bringing on new advocates and doing the role that I do, I don't even know how the advocate, as a matter of fact, we haven't been terribly successful keeping advocates that work remotely. It definitely requires the closeness, and it's almost where, I'll just give an example. If we're all in the same office and we're working, and we hear one of our other advocates working on an issue, I can tell by the tone of their voice that they might need some help. And in the office, all I have to do is, look around, say, hey, how can I help you? Or at least give them that eye contact. And right then and there, that new advocate or even the seasoned advocate can get the support that they need. And we just don't have that if we're all working independently, as lovely as it was. It's time to get back into the office and start working together. So we can all be our own AI. I get that.
She sounds like a Midwesterner there. We need to be in the office, dumbasses.
They're being very gentle about it, which I do appreciate, because I do not like people telling me, mandating things, as I'm sure you know. But I do like the idea of, hey, what do you guys think about? And they did. They started it out with really bringing up why this is important. And I think we could all really relate with that.
So this is a Christmas present I got in Chicago. It's from Five Below when we took the grandkids there, and it's a toy crossbow. It would have been worked well back when we worked together in some of the places we did, right, Wilton?
Not a pretend one. I'd need a real one.
Yeah, that would have worked.
Do not teach me how to use one of those.
All right, so Barbara, you're the other California female on here. You want to ask any follow-up, and then we're going to go to the Earl of Data, and then get this primary question started?
Sure. Yeah, I can see why you'd want to be in person with your other coworkers. I mean, I don't know. I've worked remote for so long because, like you said, being in the IT world, I could work on a VPN connection from home, and I did it for decades. So I like being at home and not having to travel, and being able to be around for my kids and all that kind of thing. So I can't imagine, after having spent a significant amount of time at home, being asked to go back into an office. I think it'd be a real struggle personally for me. It'd be a real struggle to say, okay, yeah, I'm gonna make that drive again. And then, I mean, the other thing is, there is technology where you could all be on the same screen, just like we are right now, with all your coworkers there. And if somebody is having a problem, they could put their hand up and say, hey, I need help. And then the two of you could go off into another room, like Zoom has Zoom rooms, and the two of you could go into another room and do whatever you needed to do together in that room. Anyway, I think technology is great, and I agree that, there's nothing like being in person, because you can't hug a computer and get any feedback on it. Hugs are important too. But at the same time, with coworkers, is that really a thing? I don't know.
I hug my computer.
Well, your comments are interesting, Barbara, because if they were to have asked me to go back to the office last year, I would have quit my job. There's no way I would have been able to do it. And I think that, just given the life circumstances, and of course, it's relevant to each and every person. Yes, I think, and so this is where I think the compromise should be, is I have the ability to work from home. I do love working from home. I really hate driving to work. I feel like I'm taking my life in my hands just to go over the Cuesta grade, just to get down to my office. It takes about 40 minutes. But given the fact that I am at this point in my life right now, I said to myself, I am going to have a different attitude of particular opportunity for me. And number one, it was to step up. Now that I'm in this new place, my husband and I were caregivers for quite a few many years. And now we find ourselves in a completely different life just in the last several months. And so my commitment to my team at work was to be more present physically, and that also includes being with my managers. And so my hope with my commitment that I'm making to my team, just me, I don't put that on anybody else. Everyone has a different situation where I felt that it was appropriate to say, you know what, 3 days a week is not going to be asking too much. And plus, it'll also be beneficial for me to interact more with people that I wouldn't normally interact with just on my team. It's an interesting setup where I work. We have a very small team of 5 advocates that work very closely together, but then we also work together with another group of probably 50 to 75 people that make the whole thing work. So that was just me personally. I like I said, if they would have had me do this even maybe 6 months ago, I probably would have said, no, I'll go find something else, work remotely. But for me, the time is appropriate. And so I'm ready to do it, but only 3 days a week. Please don't ask anymore.
Okay, so I love where we're hitting where everyone kind of is. It's like we've got almost everybody assessed where they're at the beginning of 2025. So, Dorian Earl of Data, as I like to call him. Come on down, my friend. You there?
I am here. Good afternoon. I'm actually doing 2 things at once, and so one
only
thing
2.
I'm cleaning up my office, so I like to literally not just clean up, like throw papers away and do that, but I'm actually like take out the cleaning and the rag and the whole 9 yards, which can be a little scary, especially if you like me, you like to have snacks in your office. So
I understand.
Let's just put it like that. So you're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I was working with that on my keyboard. But then the other part of it, I think, oh my gosh, I can't believe I was.
Oh my God, so, I forgot I put that there. Should have eaten a while back.
And I'm the type of person that will say, to my wife, don't move anything in my office. I know where everything is. Even I know the stuff underneath the stuff that I put out there, which is a little scary. But and then I would blame her that she moved it. And funny how I just find the stuff right now. So that's how that goes.
Yeah, don't touch the cabling. It will break something. Yeah, I get that one.
So, sure.
All right, so you're Mr. Data. You're the Earl of Data. I like that. Earl of Data.
I don't want to say that. I do a lot of work with data on behalf of me and my clients, but yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
And you swim in the Salesforce CRM world, which is...
I do. Well, I play our company as a CRM partner of Salesforce.com, but we also work with several other CRMs and just databases in general. In today's day and age, many companies have their data in certain types of systems, whether it be your sales system and your system of record, or your database, or your access database, or your accounting system, your HR system, your sales system, your service system, your marketing system. And part of my role is to help companies maximize their entire tech stack. And it used to be you moved everything into one system, but today it's you just need to maximize everything in your tech stack. And And some of that is your email, your calendar, your note-taking tools, and how all of that brings productivity is what me and really put my company to.
So, another tech geek on here. So what I just heard is like people need to like maximize where their data is and the impact it has on their business.
Well, let's just go into the AI world because everybody is really...
You started us in there, so I was going to come there next. So how does AI... What's the baseline AI assessment for business and integrating their tech crap into one place where now they're held hostage by the internet connection, but that's okay.
Well, when I first started working, there was a phrase that said, you don't want all your eggs in one basket, especially if you're not holding the basket. And so I still think you don't want all your eggs in the same basket unless you're the one holding it. But sometimes you don't even want to be the one holding it. You want somebody else who's a little more trustworthy than you. Or you want what we call redundancy, which, a second set of hands on that basket, so to speak. So I'm literally in the last 90 days have been preparing in what I call an AI readiness assessment for many of our clients. Ooh. AI today has been what we consider to be consumer facing, or it's more of a consumer app. That means almost everybody using AI or ChatGPT or Gemini today have been using it in their own personal life. Most of the companies have not adopted it, which means you can go to ChatGPT right now, ask it a question or start using it, or Gemini, or even in Google search, or partly in Facebook. You can start asking it questions. But it's what we call general intelligence. It's not relative intelligence. And this is really going to shape where we all need to go. Generally, so I'll give you an analogy, and I know I can't remember the young lady that was talking about Marie in the healthcare space. So if I told you today my knee is hurting and it's swelling up, almost everybody on this call would know what to tell me. Rest, get off of it, elevate it, ice it. That's just common knowledge. That's general intelligence, right? And everybody would probably tell me the same thing. Hey, my son fell and kind of cut his hand. Everybody would say, go wash it, get some soap, let it air, put something on it. That's generalized intelligence. But if I told you, hey, as a 40-plus-year-old male, previous athlete, over-exercises, 50 pounds overweight, spends more time with my kids than what I would like to do, and it swells up every other week, and I get nagging pain and it's stiff, you would say, given all of that information, you may have something more going on. You may have tendonitis. You may need a surgery. You may have underlying. But really, what I just told you was the relativity around. It wasn't general. It became relative when I told you about me and my personal issues and what was happening there. And what we were starting to describe about AI is almost everybody in the country have been using it in a generalized manner. You go and you ask it generalized questions without relative background on your particular situation. And in the last 12 to 18 months, there's this role that's come along, what we call a prompt engineer, somebody that could go in to ChatGPT and really give it a lot of the background on your company, your role, the task, the output you would like. And then given all of those things, you take generalized intelligence and make it relative. Now, the issue with that is it takes work. It takes you describing your company in detail, which may be a paragraph. It takes you describing you and your role. I've been this person for 25 years at this company doing these things where my day-to-day operations would be, giving goods and services and products that do these things to start to describe. Now, notice, if you put all that together, it's like a paragraph. Most people don't want to write a paragraph, no, let's say a paragraph, unless you're like me. You have no problem saying many, paragraphs. But what I'm describing for you is a prompt that's hundreds of words to just take general intelligence and make it relative. And that's why most people will say AI, ChatGPT, these AI models are not ready for prime time. If you use it and don't prompt it or don't give it enough background, you're going to get general intelligence. And general intelligence in your relative situation doesn't work, right? If you take generalized intelligence to your job or your role, you go, I don't like the answer I'm getting. Of course, it doesn't know anything about you or your company or your situation or the output you would like. So what we've been doing as a company is we've been really programming these things in the software to make everybody's job easier to use this. Now, back to your point about what we need to do in 2025.
Don't go forward yet. Don't go forward yet.
Okay.
We're going to make this more general when we go forward. It's about assessing now. So one of the things and I want to give Barbara a chance to jump in here.
Sure.
But there was something you said. Go ahead, Barbara. I got to backtrack. There was something you said that really kind of slammed into me. So, Barbara, what question you got?
Well, I do have a question because Salesforce is a little bit older technology than some of the things that they're out there now in terms of customer relationship management databases. So I have a couple questions because I am not familiar with the database that's behind a lot of this architecture. And one of the things that I know when I was working with databases, it was Oracle was the one. Nobody had anything else. Is Oracle still the main database out there?
Well, I would say Oracle is one of them because if you just go into the IT space, into the S&P 500, there's probably 5 or 6 major database type companies. Mm-hmm. Oracle would be one of them. Amazon, the data storage. Anybody that's storing data, Google, Amazon, Microsoft. These are large companies that say you can just build a database and store something. And database is like the next level above, spreadsheets for almost everybody there. So Salesforce is actually one of them. It's a 25-year-old company. And then historically, you would host that data on your own server for security. Right. You don't want that data going out. And probably Mr. Adams can probably speak a little bit more than that because he probably works in more database and server and saying, we would know, they would not want that information stored or secured or kept anywhere else. As I spent time in the medical space, all doctors' offices had the server room that you never opened. It was hot, and you kept all patient data in the office, right? So anyway, back to your question, Barbara. It's newer, but new in the technology space in the last decade plus, still, relevant. So. Mm-hmm.
And then there's a new CRM system that's been, as far as I know, taking a lot of companies by storm, which is called Go High Level.
Yes.
And they integrated a whole lot of different platforms into one. And it was like you said, putting all your eggs in one basket. That's exactly what they seem to be doing. Do you have any thoughts on that?
I do. Now, I won't trash or, kind of down talk any of those companies because they're doing a good work. So what has historically been is you went out and purchased a software that served a purpose and said, we need to send emails. Okay, I'm going to buy an email marketing system. We need to support our clients. I'm going to buy a support system. We need to help sell better. I'm going to become a sales system. And when you're a $1 billion or multinational company or larger company, you bought you bought systems for departments or to solve issues.
Right.
But if you're a company of 5, 10, 15 million, if you're a company of 5 or 10, 15 people, you're hoping to buy one software that does all of these things. Right. Yeah. And so what was kind of known in the last 5 to 10 years as the all-in-one software. I bought this, but it does that too. I buy this thing, but it does that too. And it doesn't do all of the features, but most small companies will tell you, we don't use all those features. All I need to do is just send email. I don't need to do social media scheduling and email analytics and Google and all that. I just need to send emails. We're great. This low-end all-in-one system would do all those things for you. It's like, do you need a F-350 pickup truck? No, I just need a 4-wheel drive, and every now and then I take a lot of groceries home, and okay, that's cool. Now, there are people, though, that do need a work truck, and there are people that need a dump truck, and there are people that need a sports car, and you buy 4 different things for 4 different reasons. Or you say, I need to go fast sometimes, I need to haul stuff sometimes, I need to do this sometimes, so I'll take an all-in-one. And in the business space, Go High Level, HubSpot, even Salesforce, they've all moved down market to say, you can buy one of these things and it'll do most or some of what you need until you grow out of them. So,
Yeah. Thank you for that explanation. Sure. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Okay, Phred.
So, one of my questions, I questioned one of the last things you said, but that's okay.
Sure.
One of the things you said is about, and I find this scary, the giving a much more fuller profile on to like ChatGPT. I guess primarily because the first actual deep discussion I had on ChatGPT, Michelle's been using it for quite a while.
Sure.
And that's how I learned that we did so that Link Local Network and Pillars of Franchising had actually ranked in ChatGPT 3.5. But given the fact that one of my first discussions with ChatGPT was how to build an EMP and would that destroy AI, and it actually gave me some tips on that I hadn't known ahead of time. I just don't know if I want them knowing where I live, you know.
I 100% agree, but I will say this is the drawback to ChatGPT, Gemini, all those things. Computing power.
Mm-hmm.
If you ask it a question today, can you come back 3 weeks from now and say, oh, based on the conversation we have, no. It's not doing that. So the storage and the relative, hey, we had a conversation, let's keep that going, is not there. You have to continue to prompt it. You have to say, oh, let me remind you of the conversation in a prompt and what you told me and all of those things, and then move forward. And again, that takes work, us to be able to kind of type that in. And then the other part of that is, to your point, a lot of these systems are not connected to other systems. ChatGPT is not connected to your email today, so it can't go in and read and say, oh, Phred, based on what's there. Now, there are people that are taking these add-ons and plugins and starting to extend the functionality of them. Like I have Gemini, and I have Gemini in my email, and it'll say, do you want to summarize this email thread? 15 emails, you want to go in and read it. In my line of work with hundreds of clients, it's great when I get added to an email thread of 45 emails and I go, I'm not going to go back through and read that. Give me a summary of the top 10 things that were talked about, bullet points, pick up the last 2 or 3 things. That obviously becomes helpful, right? And so there are some great things you can do with it. Exactly to your point, it doesn't have the memory, doesn't keep historical knowledge. Now, I would imagine in the next year or two that will change, because they're starting to extend those type of features. People are knowing this, but as of today, these are the things that people have talked about that they would like more of.
Anybody who believes that Gemini can't read through all the Google emails you got, please send me a check for $500. If you believe they can't, please send me a check.
Gemini's connected to Google. I did some work at that company, and so there's a lot going on there. I'm not going to lead into that or what they know and what they don't know, but I would just say one of the drawbacks a lot of people talk about is it's not connected. ChatGPT, when it launched, was not connected to the world's data and systems. Gemini, one of their unique advantages is, remember, it's owned by Google. It is the world's organization and library, which means you can ask Google data, and it will come back. And Gemini loves data, loves to go back and find. So one of Gemini's drawbacks is it was really trained on data in the last 2, 3, 4 years. Can't go back and read the entire history of the internet or the Wall Street Times, all those things. However, Gemini, because it's connected to Google, Google has been reading the world's data for the last decade plus. Guess what? It's pretty nice to be able to come back and say, in this article many years ago, what was, and that it's actually pretty cool. Now, I'm not going to say it's prime time, but it is pretty cool. So
and so one James White wants to get a comment in, and then we're going to shift to our question of the day. Jim, you got the last comment here.
Okay, Dorian, wow, what you just said is so powerful. I'm at a point now with my ChatGPT where I have given it a name. I thank them. I show appreciation. I almost feel like it's a buddy, like it's a partner. And it does go back and say, well, Jim, do you remember when you had EMP34, blah, 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 and it is absolutely, the education that you're giving me right now is just unbelievable. But everything you said is right on point. So how do we continue to develop that relationship with AI? Do we have to add something else?
Yeah, well, this is we're going down, I don't want to call this a slippery slope, but you say relationship with AI, relationship with the computer. There are many people that are going to have to talk about that on the call.
I ain't going there, right.
Right. Yes. But I will say, remember the first thing I started with, in order for any of these systems to be impactful for you, it needs as much relativity as it can get.
That's right.
right? And so, right, because you're asking it you're asking it relative questions,
Yes.
and all it has is general intelligence. So if I only know Phred in the last 10 years, like, what was Fred's favorite color when he went to high school? I have no idea.
Right.
I have to feed that data in to get that data out, right? Now, when we're doing that on people, there's a privacy, there's a security thing that people are going to say, and that's a whole type of conversation I don't want to get in here. However, if you go into, I know we're talking about healthcare, we're talking about financial things, we're talking about historical data in certain industries where we said, yes, I am happy to give you historical information on X, on the stock market. Tell me what it's done 1980 to 1985. We don't know, right? Sports scores. I was just telling, a friend of mine, it'd be great to know who was the highest scorer in the NBA in the month of February. In order to get that information, probably doesn't exist today. I have to pay a lot of money to get it. Who would score the most on Tuesdays, on Wednesdays, on Saturdays? Of course, the data we're getting today, like, who has the most points on Christmas Day? We didn't get those stats 20 years ago, 15 years ago. Today, we know Oscar Robertson. Now, nobody would guess that. They would think LeBron or think Michael Jordan, all those kind of things. But to your point, right, well, I don't know if that's Phred or somebody else, but there you go, Phred. Yeah. But honestly, these are great use cases to say, can we use AI to digest this amount of data and come back? Now, this is the impact of this technology. I know we're talking about a lot, and we're going to move along, Phred. So for those of us that are listening that are African American, I am African American. And in the last 10 years, 15 years, well, we fed the healthcare data of everybody into a system and asked for the patterns. What is specific about African Americans in their healthcare and diabetes and blood sugar and diet and being overweight? That's important. And because we did that, we can now change our outcome in life because we brought a level of intelligence, right? Do we need to anonymize those stats? We may or may not, or just say, these are things to look out for. I would normally get a prostate checked and all those things in the 50s. Now it's coming earlier. Why should we do this earlier? Because of data. We would never be able to digest all of this data and somebody read through and come up with patterns on their own. Today, we can do that, right? So this is great use cases of what we can do with this tool. And again, I started a conversation there. We want to make it relative, and then it's an awesome co-pilot.
Dorian, I asked it to do images of me for me. It asked me, and every time it did an image of me or for me, it brought back a white dude. Then I said, okay, AI, how should I think? He said, Jim, if you want good information from me, give me as much information.
Give me as much information as you can.
I want a black guy, an old dude, and when I put all that in there, bam. So it says, feed me first. If you really get something that's relevant for you. I know, I'm loving it. So I appreciate what you said. Okay, Phred, I'm shut up. Boom.
That's fine. This just means to err is human, to forgive divine, but it takes a computer to really screw things up. I've been living with that one since before I met Wilton, which means we're way back in the tech career.
Right.
So
well, and when you mention that, I'll mention one comment for Wilton. Our company works off of billable hours in the same regard. So Wilton, we've been having this conversation internally for the last 90 days, and plus, because our clients are saying, are you doing more with that? And we're doing more on less hours, but I've made it a mandate of our team internally. So you would teach me something you're doing with AI every month. Otherwise, you won't work here after 90 days.
Yeah.
So you will be teaching me. You will be using it. You will be using these tools. You will come to these meetings. You will ask me, because again, we're living in an area of intelligence. Partly is that's me at the top of the company saying, I want to be the smartest, which means if you know something, if you see something, say something. If you learn something, teach me something. And so part of that is me, and the other part of it is we need to, how do we get this to our clients to have an impact with them right away, right?
So I would say it's not intelligence that worries me, it's stupidity.
That's right.
And B, I just heard somebody say they're going to be a recurring contributor on the KPHRED News and Report on the AI segment, which is actually pretty good.
Wilton and James would be great. I can see their feedback.
Yeah,
and they're two good-looking guys.
He's got his own legal segment. Although you can, we'll work this out. All right. Pleased to meet you. Won't you guess my name? So let's go now to the we've kind of assessed where everybody's at. So that was kind of where, as I look forward, and what Michelle and I did at the beginning of last year was we wrote up our goals for 2024 on big papers, old school, and updated them reasonably. And there were some things that were miserable failure. I did not learn how to swear in Sanskrit. It is on my goals for next year, but I didn't learn how to swear in Sanskrit. I did not learn, even though I bought 2 songs on guitar. But yet, just buying and taking the lessons actually facilitated a couple of goals in other goals there. So we're in process of writing down this year's goals, both business and personal. So my question to you guys or you folks, sorry, didn't want to, whatever. How do you develop your goals for next year, end of next year? So when you're looking back at 2025, you say, I was successful on a personal level, a work level, a spiritual level. How do you assess that? How do you determine what you're going to do, and what's one in each that if you have come up with, what's one in each of your goals? Ooh, and so now that everyone's starting to crap in their pants, going, holy crap, I didn't know you'd get that deep. I'll pick on Barbara.
I can start there, Phred. I can start there while everybody's kind of thinking, which would be easy, because mine is probably easier for you.
Okay, you're going to say Barbara because normally she's the sacrificial
No, don't
victim.
Do that. I'll give everybody 3 or 4 minutes because mine would be easy. So, one, I heard this a few years ago, and it started with a gentleman who said, your short-term goals have to do more with your long-term goals, and your long-term goals have to do with your long-term goal. I never forgot that, because I was sitting and somebody said, okay, what are you going to do a year from now, 5 years, 10 years? And I'm like, 10 years from now, who knows what I'm going to be doing? 10 years ago, I had 1 less child, I had 2 less houses, right, living in another place. So, but it's funny when you think about what you were doing 5 or 10 years from now, that probably didn't follow your plan, right? And so I started to just think, what am I going to do next quarter? What am I going to do next 3, 6, 9 months? If I'm on track there, or there could be some event that could change that. And of course, since COVID, life, all those things could definitely affect that. But one of my, I don't call it models, but one of the things I've been thinking of this year is to do less. I know we all want to talk about doing, because what are we going to do in 2025? But I found myself in 2024 doing a lot. I got really good at doing some things. I was just doing too much of many things, right? And didn't get to focusing in on the 3 or 4 things I should have been doing. Mm-hmm. And so I'm not doing a lot, I'm actually doing less. I'm just focusing in, instead of the 7 things I said I'm going to do in 2025, I'm going to really do the 4 of them that I really should have been focused on in 2024. And so I'm doing less.
Okay.
I'm going deeper into some of the areas that I really should have been started, which is what I learned last year. Like, hey, don't do these 8 things, do these 4. And these 4 have a dramatic impact. And so, anyway, the long story short, I'm doing less. So, starting with that. So.
Awesome. So, I love that. That was really, so what you said kind of naturally, I saw that in everything we came up with, and some stuff fell by the wayside, and things focused in much more on specific things that in some cases I hadn't expected. So I love that. Ooh.
Yeah.
Do less.
And really, and just, you said something kind of spiritually. I'll mention a scripture everybody kind of knows. Well, I should say a parable of every. of the seeds that were spread across. Some fell on concrete or dirt, or some fell among thorns. But the question nobody asks is, why did they throw it over there in the first place? Why did somebody throw seeds? Why did you throw the seeds on the ground that wouldn't, like, who's doing that? So for me, I'm thinking, why would I throw a bunch of seeds around and see what happens? Like, I'm at the age now, I don't have to do that. I can say, a little bit of wisdom has taught me, don't throw the seeds over there. Don't put my effort in this area, and only throw effort and seeds where I know will grow. But again, I'm going to do less. So, yeah.
Okay, I can't help this. So what I'm hearing is you've gotten much more directed in spreading your seed.
Don't tell my wife that, because that's not how this is going to come out. But yeah, thank you. If you want to quote, put that on TikTok. I'm sure that'll go viral. I'm going direct to where I'm throwing my spreading the seed. That's true.
All right, I love that, dude.
Mostly, I'm doubling down on the same places in 2024, so that should keep me married. So at least if I say I'm still right, I'm still
100% agree with you. Totally there, working on that part in mine also. I agree with you. All right, Barbara. Now you've had time. What's your answer?
All right. Well, I think there's a saying about make plans and God laughs at you, something like that. And I don't know. I really like to see what God has in store for me. And if I plan it, then it's, I don't know. I really like just taking every day, one day at a time, one step at a time. And
Amen.
But thank you. But looking at the big picture, I have some irons in the fire, if you will. One of the things I'm doing is moving from one CRM system to another, and you might guess it is going to Go High Level, Dorian. So I latched on to Go High Level. I tried to do it a year ago, but they didn't have all the functionality I needed. But they're constantly developing things, so they got on board with what I needed, and I'm making that conversion from my old system to my new system. And then, I hope to be able to do some in-person events this year. But, in 2019, I'm sure a lot of people were making plans for in-person events too, So, hey, I don't know if that'll happen, but we'll see. And I just really believe that things will come to me that I'm supposed to be working on, and I like living like that, knowing that everything is unfolding exactly as it should.
So there's an ancient wisdom that says, never spit into the wind unless you want many quick returns.
Oh, God. Got it.
You triggered me. Ooh, go figure. All right. So, who wants to be the next victim respondent of how do you go about setting goals? Well, I think Brooke started. Okay, we'll let the lady go first, and then we'll go to James.
Okay, I'm going to bridge the gap between Dorian and Barbara, because I manage and I build and support and manage 52 sub accounts on Go High Level, and my whole theme is to pass all of that to my team so I can do a lot less, like Dorian. So one of the best pieces of advice I've gotten in the last couple of years was from an energy coach of mine who said, Brooke, you're a power manifester when it comes to opportunities. They come at you like crazy, and you say yes to it all. And I have. And I've always looked at it as it was, the divine path. It was, a source's way of providing. I was meant to be, because it comes at me. So I looked up at the end of the year and I had 23 projects on my plate. And I put a boundary that I will not live like that any longer. I am only going to show up in my gifts and in my power of what I'm great at, and dial that back into about 4 or 5 things. So, and I have done it. I'm still putting the last pieces on the strategies, but I have gotten, my team is ready and taking it over, taking almost everything over. I've put in some conversations about leaving some places. I've really dialed in on what I want to be around. And so 2025 for me, so back to this energy coach, she said, do yourself a favor. And before you say yes to something, look and make sure it's going to align with where you're going. Because while I was sitting there being prosperous and joyful and very thankful and grateful and appreciative for all my clients, I looked up and I wasn't where I was wanting to go, right? And so she said, if you ground, put in your boundaries, it'll work. And it's already happening. Like, it's when I said no to some things that don't totally align, more aligned things were right around the corner. So that's what I'm working on for 2025 is less work, less, more showing up, more work in what I'm totally gifted in, and less than what just is work. Right.
That's brilliant. That's brilliant, Brooke. I just love hearing that you are following your heart, right? Where you're, instead of following the money or following everybody else's ideas, you're getting focused and centered and following what you're intuitively led to that resonates with you as your truth. I love it.
Thank you.
All right. Since Barbara used the F word, focus. Brooke, how have because I get what you're saying. Like I said, we've gone through this. There's a number of projects that are in there. And when I look at it, even within the projects that are in there, there are various, what I'm going to say, industry verticals. So, what are some of the ways, I'm assuming that for obviously, given that we've launched an internet radio station, I'm starting to collect radio folks that either tell me, well, so far they've all been really positive. But so one of my goals is to deepen my knowledge base and network base within the radio industry. Mm-hmm. How would you go about defining one of those for the areas that you're going after, given that your primary goal is to shrink them down? If that makes sense, where I'm going?
Am I hearing, how am I going to dive into one of them?
Yeah.
Like when I get, okay. So, before I give you the backstory, let me just start.
Ooh, I got a good one in there.
That's a big one. Okay. What I'm doing is what I did was that when I narrowed them down, I figured out what it was about these that I really wanted to embrace and how I wanted to show up. And then some of that I can still be there, but I can also hire someone to help me, even when it doesn't look like I can. Like sometimes it doesn't look like I should spend money on hiring someone to help that. But then right around the corner was a way for, if I hire someone to take that over, there's a bigger way for me to step into more money having that happen. And then what I'm doing with that is I'm really going into, with ChatGPT, right, with AI.
AI strikes again.
I am dialing in and focusing on, what does this big picture look like in smaller chunks, which is something that I have missed in my life. Like I have a gift for vision and big pictures, but how do we take it down into action steps? And in those action steps, or not even action steps, just chunk it down and ask me questions. And I am just weaving this conversation and staying very aligned with where I want to go and how I want to be, and going into there to learn more and to find out what it is I need to know more about. Like, why do some people make multiple millions of dollars doing this thing that I want to do and others don't? Or what about this subject do I really know that I think I know and things that I don't know, right? And so I'm really putting in my own educational course. I'm creating my own college.
Nice.
out of the things I want to know and where I want to go.
Beautiful.
Okay.
All right. So now we'll move along to James. Tell us your business health, or what life and spiritual goals, or how you got there, or, But you got to unmute, otherwise the people on listening can't hear you.
Better. Thank you. I am committed and dedicated to increasing societal consciousness. And with that, what it says, the question that I'm asking people, do you know how what you say, think, and do impacts the health, safety, and the welfare of the society? Okay, so that's kind of like the base. A part of my signature strengths, there are 5, but the ones that really drive me are connectedness. I want to be connected, and I'm also a learner. So those 2 pieces drive me. Now, how am I going to accomplish that? One of the pieces that I've had maybe, but I've developed is something called EMP3 to the 3rd power, which means the pillar, 3 pillars of growth. And the 3 pillars of growth are emotional intelligence, which I've known since its inception. Empowerment, I've created my own program with that. It has never failed me in 35 years. And the last part is excellence, which is driven by something called Kaizen, constant and never-ending improvement, doing little things better, reaching for ever higher goals and standards. So that's kind of like the base. I'm tying my coaching into that, which thank goodness Barbara has allowed me to really crystallize it. Even though I've been doing it for 30 plus years, he allowed me to really understand exactly how to utilize that. And then the next thing is the Institute. So that is on the paper. I have the information. I thank AI over and over again, because what AI finally told me after I said, AI, you are absolutely brilliant. And it said to me, it said, no, I'm not brilliant. He said, brilliance comes from being able to ask me the right questions after providing me with the right information. And with that, then I was able to give you the things that you're looking for. So I have probably like 300 or 400 pages. So I have this, it's in place, it's working. What you've done today, Phred, with all these brilliant people, has even helped me to refine it even more and know what I'm looking at. And so for me, that's what 2025 is going to be, a rocking year. It's going to rock. And I'm going to change the world. I'm not lying. Because even though I know this thing to impact locally, it makes so much sense. And then move from there. If I can get to a point where people can treat each other and feel valued, respected, and appreciated as another human being, I'm on it now. Step at a time, but that's where I am.
Okay, so 2 things, and then I'll let Barbara comment. You really had me excited when you said EMP3, because I was thinking the 3rd version of electromagnetic pulse generators, which means, but no, you didn't, so never mind. I didn't.
You went too deep on me, brother. I didn't get that far. I'm dyslexic.
I was hoping for, no, we're going to have to fight Skynet eventually. Power to the people. All right, so that's the one comment I got. I love this. Go ahead, Barbara. Make a comment.
Oh, my comment is I just think it's a wonderful goal that you have, and, elevating people and helping, compassion is something that not everybody has. I recognize that at this age, that not everybody even knows what compassion is. But certainly you are the epitome of compassion, James, because you understand that we're all connected. And like you said, that's one of the important things for you this year is being connected. And we are all connected. We are all humans breathing oxygen on the same planet. So we're all connected. Whether we like it or not, we're connected.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh my gosh. And having compassion for one another is so important, and helping people get to the point where they understand what compassion is really a lofty goal. And, I pray that you reach it and attain it.
So, James made a comment about tying all this AI and then me helping facilitate it. So in other words, what I'm hearing is AI was facilitated by natural stupidity, and I want to keep pounding that into people.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Barbara, who's our next person we're going to ask about their goals for 2025 and how they got to them?
Well, how about Deanna? I'd love to hear from Deanna.
Go for it, Deanna.
Of course, she decides to pick on me, and I almost made it out scot-free.
No one leaves alive.
No,
Unscathed,
my
sorry.
goals, I'm really just starting to explore them with my husband because so much changed in the last 60 days of 2024 for us. I got involved with KPHRED. I've been working with a half a dozen other show hosts. I onboarded 8 clients in the last 30 days of the year. It was just insane. And so, yes, I see your KPHRED t-shirt. But no, if you'd asked me this 90 days ago, I would have told you that it was to begin hiring more staff, continue to grow my business, all those nifty business goals that we all have. But now we're actually leaning towards the founding of a nonprofit this year based around the radio show that was born out of our business. And that's really where I'm wanting to focus in the next year, is because I didn't realize how much the neurodivergent community meant to me until it got slapped in my face in the last 90 days of 2024. And so everything that I've learned through running a marketing agency, through using AI, because I know that's been a big theme today, it's really shifted where I think I want to go next year. But I think it'll be just as profitable an avenue as continuing to grow my agency would have been.
Wow, blunt force trauma has its uses, doesn't it?
I mean, it really does, especially, when you got somebody that's got really bad ADHD. And so I'm super focused and I'm super goal oriented, but I'm going after the wrong goals. Sometimes you need to be smacked in the back of the head.
Mm-hmm.
Or you got to learn to duck real quick, but that's a whole different topic. We'll do that in October.
I haven't figured out how to duck with you yet.
Yeah, you never see it coming. That's the whole point. I grew up a skinny kid on the south side. Learned to duck and move quick, fast. All right. So, Barbara, you got any final comment for Deanna?
Just, I'm really happy that you had your awakening, because I agree with you that neurodivergent news is, to me, it's a brand new topic. I never even heard the term until a few months ago. Once I heard it, I recognized that it's a topic that needs consideration. For sure. Yeah. So, well done.
So, to help out your 2025 goals, one of the things I haven't said is when I was having that same type of discussion with Professor Larson in Chicago and talking about helping the shows grow, I got him to agree to teach a monthly class on show development, show promotion, because that's his PhD is in marketing. And then, of course, seeing that I got one PhD, when I had lunch with Jim, the 2 days later, he never saw it coming either. So both of them have agreed to teach monthly classes. Jim's will be more on business development, and Jim Boswell then, getting suckered into a discussion with a phone call with me on New Year's Day, agreed to teach a class on the ABC method to develop a business plan. So all those things, all those smart people will be able to help you grow 2025 so that you're going, this was the best damn thing I ever did by the end of the year.
I already think hooking up with you and KPHRED is the best damn thing I've done in the last 3 years, so.
Ooh.
Nice.
Ooh. Wow. All right, Barbara, you want to pick the next person? I'm doing well there, so pick the next person.
Wilton.
Ooh. He, more than anyone else on this call, knows how to insult me. He taught me more.
Yeah, but I saved that for conversations over.
I know you do. I love you.
You're safe for now, my friend. You're safe for now. My plans for 2025, I looked at things and I saw that I was approaching every goal that I had from I don't want to say conquest, but sort of. I was trying to push an idea. I was trying to get something done. I was trying to get someone to see my point of view and all of that. And it occurred to me that how I succeeded in the past had to do with service, believe it or not. I started off my working life actually as a waiter. I was a waiter in the Atlantic City casino world for a while, and for some reason I found that I had this really great aptitude for how to serve another person, where I grew and got to be a whole lot more successful than people would have expected under those circumstances. And so I'm actually going to focus on returning to that mindset, one of serving those around me to our mutual benefit.
Okay.
Sorry, I have to jump in. I love hearing that, because that's one of the things that I wake up and say too, is how can I be of service today?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm sorry, go ahead.
I got to admit, when you said to serve people, for a second I flashed to the Twilight Zone episode, To Serve Man.
Yeah.
So I just want to confirm, because you and I think along the same lines, that
no, I don't intend to eat anyone.
Okay, good.
No, not like that.
Okay, good. Otherwise, the whole give back to the community thing, I love you. So tell us more.
Well, there's that, and also I intend to have a different goal in mind. I mean, I've been one who always tries to swing for the fences, as it were. And I mean, when you're good at that, yeah, of course you win a lot of games, as far as baseball is concerned. But if you're not so good at that, you get a lot of pop flies that get caught in the outfield, and your efforts aren't as successful as you hoped they would be. So I'm going to be shooting for more singles and doubles. Smaller successes, just more of them. And excuse me. And also, again, back with the whole service thing. It's kind of my way of playing to my strengths. And I'm also going to try very hard to involve more people with what I'm doing.
Ooh.
I love you. A long time ago, one of the things about me is that I seem to perform better as a member of a team. You and I found that out years ago. I excelled way more than I could on my own when I teamed up with this young man here. So, I need
that's hard to say
build
something.
that again. And I mean, maybe as the days and months go along, with my suddenly being shepherded to become a member of this flock, so to speak, you'll get to hear more about how successful I am, and maybe throw me some tidbits of knowledge and information along the way. But that's how I'm going to approach 2025.
Score. Sorry. Barbara, you're kicking some ass and picking. Either you got a follow-up question for Wilton, or do you want to pick the next victim?
All right, the next victim, Marie.
Hello again. This was an attractive question that Phred put out, which is why I'm here with you all today. I've been dodging Phred for several years. But knowing in the back of my mind that there will come that time. So this year, I like the idea of less is more, and what I mean by that is that more quality, lesser focuses, going all these different ways. And that, I don't have it all mapped out quite yet, but my husband and I are working together to make a more healthy lifestyle, and that will be fun for us. It's been interesting so far. And then professionally, and that is kind of where this comes in. Like, I can really kind of relate a little bit with Wilton, in that I really felt like I was just pushing to, I wanted my work to know how good I was, or how valuable I was, or, how I'm the only person who can do this in my job. And I think pulling back from that was coming from a defensive type of a place where I was feeling like I needed to defend myself. But now with some different perspectives, and also some different perspectives from my supervisors at work, I feel like I can pull back, take my foot off the gas pedal, not in a bad way, but just so that I can be more present, listen, take in what I'm hearing and what I'm learning, not just from other people, but even from new technologies, which I've learned quite a bit on how to approach the thought of AI today. Thank you all very much for that. So I think this year, just to boil it down, will be a year of quality in what it is, the skills that I've developed over the last several years, honing in. Phred's talked to me about a podcast or a radio show. And of course, I'm listening with half my brain, Phred. I'm sorry. I had a lot going on.
It's okay. That's how I get the hook in.
I'm like, when the time comes, I know exactly who I'm going to tap into, and it'll be exciting. And so I think be looking forward to see what this year brings. I'm open to it, and I'm ready to. And it really also, kind of going back to what Barbara was saying, is it's reaching out and asking, what is God's will for me? He has blessed me with these talents and with these people and with these opportunities, and how can I do the best with that? And also being of service. I remember waking up every day asking, Lord, how can I serve today? And I hadn't done that in a while because I got a little scared. He was putting a lot on my plate. But, that's what it is. That's where we get to where we want to be, is being ready to serve and being open to what God's will is. And so excited to see what that's going to bring in 2025. And I appreciate being invited today, Phred. I'll look forward to continuing to be a part of this group.
I celebrated.
It's kind of emotional, isn't it, Phred?
I celebrated my 7th New Year's Day on Avila Beach this year. I remember the first one in 2019, where I wasn't out there at 7:30 in the morning. I was out there at about 1:45 or 12:45 when all of the polar plungers were there, and I had to park way up on the hill. And walking back up that hill, I had to stop twice because otherwise it would have killed me after 30 days after the heart attack. God's will, yeah, I understand a bit about that.
Mm-hmm.
Still here, going power the people and doing something useful about it. It's all good. We keep talking.
Mm-hmm. You've almost conquered the world.
Not yet, but we do have
it's an attainable goal.
We have a phenomenal listenership in the UK and Germany, which really kind of freaks me out. Although Canada comes up as number 4, so it's growing. All right, Richard, bring us in on the 2025 goals you got, either professional or I like to call it work, life, or spiritual balance. What are some of yours? How'd you get to them?
I've been listening to a lot of people here, and I've been coaching since I was in high school. Okay, I've always been sort of a go-to person. People have come to me and asked for my help. And, when I was recruiting to the insurance business, obviously once I'd recruited them, I had to coach them. And I always remember one of the things, and Barbara, I told her this, but I'll say it again. One of the things that I remember, my mother died when I was a teenager, and she was the smartest, prettiest, funniest woman I've ever met in my life. And I remember just before she died, she said, if you take care of the wants and needs of others, your success is guaranteed. And I think that's one of the philosophies I try to live by, is helping people. And when you talk about it, the three things that I think you have to keep in balance are, balls in the air, are work, family, friends, and hobbies. And obviously then you got overlapping all of those is financial and spiritual. But if you spend too much time in any one of those, if you spend all the time working, you say, well, I'm making lots of money, but my wife and kids don't know me. If you spend all your time with your family, you say, well, maybe financially we're suffering. And if you don't have friends and hobbies, you become pretty boring. So I think it's the balance. And we discussed, the whole process of getting back to the office. And I agree with Marie on that it should be a balance. It can work at home, but you should also get to the office, because if you have good things going on in your life, then it's good to get to the office and share them with other people. And on the reverse, if things aren't happening for you and you're a little under the weather, or you're depressed, or I don't know, I've never been depressed, so I wouldn't know. But it's good to get to the office because people can lift up your spirits. So I think it's a balance of we're talking about AI here and artificial intelligence. I think we should deal with a little bit of HI, human intelligence, because we're lacking in that out there right now. And one of the reasons I was very happy to meet up with Barbara is because, as I said before, she's a piece of bread at the top and I'm a piece of bread at the bottom. I like the interaction face to face, and she's got all the other stuff working. But I think as we push it together, what we can do is we can help a lot more people. And I'll just say, I used to coach girls soccer for 12 years, and 3 daughters, and all great athletes. And I remember when I was recruiting girls to the team, especially my youngest daughter, I was picking up 10-year-old girls and teaching them how to play soccer. I had a couple of girls. I had one girl on the team, and she was a lovely young girl. I'm 5'10", and she was 5'10" at 10 years old. So wow. She was all legs, and she was a terrific kid. And but she wasn't a good soccer player. She was a really good athlete, and she was a lovely young girl. So I had her on the team for 2 years, and finally I said, I'm going to have to let you go. And so I called the parents, and the parents said, Hannah's going to be upset. Would you come and talk to her? And I said, yeah, I'll come and talk to her. And I went over, and I liked the parents, and I liked her. And I said, Hannah, you're a great athlete, but you've got soccer's not your cup of tea. So, and she said, well, can I still come out and watch some of the games? And I said, of course you can, Hannah. And we were a very competitive team. We were ranked, I think, 5th in the province at that particular time. And anyway, I saw her mother, probably 10 years ago. And she said, I got to tell you, she said, Hannah got a full scholarship in the States in volleyball. Full ride, 4 years, paid for. And the thing was, I didn't put up a sheet of paper and say, okay, these are the girls around the team, the rest of them are cut. I individually talked to every one of them that I said you had to move on. And I think that's what we've got with people, is there's too much of this, you can be whatever you want. Well, okay, I'd like to be a professional tennis player. Guess what? I'm not good enough. Okay? But I do have strengths, and I think that's the whole thing with the coaching. is I want to be able to bring out and the strengths of people. Like, not everyone can be, a doctor, a lawyer, a professor, but there's some hell of a good electricians out there. Okay, everybody can have a good life, and that's what Barbara and I think are working on, is helping people become what they're good at. They've got strengths, but a lot of times they don't know what those strengths are, and that's what we're going to try and do. I have a thing that I call my board of directors, and I've had it for years, and I can't be good at everything. So I try to concentrate on what I am good at, and the things that I'm not good at, then I'm going to add people to my board of directors. So Barbara's on my board of directors, okay? And there are going to be other people down the road, and I still have people on my board of directors now that are good at things that I'm not good at. So I go to them, and they can help me become better at everything that I do. There you go. So that's my goal for the year.
All right. So you hit a word that's been going on for a bit with this remote work thing, and all I'm going to say is, with respect to remote work, is from December 2nd, December 1st, the Sunday morning I woke up after the heart attack, to this day, I missed going into the office a total of Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday after the heart attack, and not one day in COVID did I not go into the office. We were media, so we could, because I got to tell you, when staying home and working entails working with your mother-in-law around the house, you'll fight the devil themselves to go into the office. That's all I got to say about remote work.
I hear you, Phred. I was a workaholic for a reason.
All right, so we caught all of our earlier guests. I know Jim's off. We actually have another studio guest who's been popped in a couple of times last year. She's from the Boston area, CiCi Yang. Want to say hello?
Hi, Phred. Hello, everyone.
So we got a couple of minutes. Tell everyone about yourself.
Yes. So my name is CiCi Yang. That's as Phred said, that I am from the beautiful city of Boston. So I met Phred in the middle of the year, 2023, and I'm a student here. I'm here to learn. So my goal is with the Phred is so just continue to learn and wanted to grow my podcast. So I think it's there are a couple of times that I pops in and learning. I think that I was empowered and I was encouraged, and I set up the podcast last year, and I think gratefully that I had interviewed two guest speakers and uploaded to the YouTube. Currently, I have 3 people viewed. So there is a little accomplishment over there, and I wish to continue to grow this podcast and continue to grow with Phred here, and my goal is really for 2025 would be for the podcast perspective. I love to have conversations or interview 25 to 30 people, and I really love to grow my subscribers to about 5K. I mean, if I can accomplish 5K, then I will be very happy. So that is about me. Oh, by the way, that's the show that I have with the Phred. The name is Coffee with CiCi. It's more focused on self growth and self improvement. but the learning, like additional learning from another successful person. So that's about me, and thank you. Thank you for having me.
2 questions. 1, is Manhattan clam chowder really clam chowder?
I got help. Is it no?
All right, I agree with that. 2, is your accent from South Boston or North Boston?
Oh, international. I'm sorry. My accent is international. I'm not authentic Boston accent. A little bit of Chinese, a little bit American, a little bit of Malaysia. So I'm international.
If that'd be an interesting. I want to hear you say the British are coming. The British are coming.
I'm already here.
Yeah. All right. Mr. Norris, you want to give any final thoughts on 2020 goals for 2025? That's you, Jeff. You there?
I'm here.
Yeah.
Sorry. I was,
Give us the 20.
No, I really enjoyed this episode. I don't know about the rest of you, but I kind of felt like this one was one of the best. It was a great turnout and great comments, and I really enjoyed it. It was great.
All right, so my one is still my favorite is, how would your life be different if you were born the opposite sex?
I cringe at the idea. I can barely make it as I am.
Yeah, I know, and it was Phred versus 6 women. Oh, that was so much fun, wasn't it, Barbara? All right, so any goals, anything you want to tell about for goals for KPHRED Tech next year or this year?
Well, I think today, and this, even my conversation with everybody right now is proof that our call-in works. I'm literally calling into the show because I couldn't find the most recent Zoom link that would work. So I have called into the show, and I'm talking to you all, and it's all bridged across, which is a success of the platform. So if you guys are interested in adding that feature to your podcast, I think that would, you could do that and do it in a live form. So that's a success as far as going forward. I'm looking forward to seeing what this turns into, and I think things are happening here.
I love it. Anybody got any final words they want to give? Because we're going to hit just under 2 hours, which is phenomenal. Anybody got any final thoughts, Barbara?
Well, my final thought is I just love meeting everyone that joined us today, and I'm inspired by a lot of the things that I've heard and learned, and I really appreciate each and every one of you and your goals. I really loved hearing about the board of directors. I think that's really important. So I learned a lot, and I gleaned a lot of great information, and I love every one of you. So thank you for joining us today.
God, you're so Californian.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, Marie remembers me when I got to California, and people would come up and hug me, and I'd stiffen, and she'd go, "What's wrong?" I said, "I'm from Chicago. I expect them either they're going to stick a knife in me or try to pick my pocket if they're a politician." Anybody else got any final words other than happy 2025, folks?
Have a great day. Y'all come back now. You hear?
Oh, we gotta get that.
Nicely played. Nicely played.
Well done.
All right, with that, we're gonna play the music.
Take care, Earl.
Thank you. Thank you, Phred. Thank you, Barbara. Thank you, everyone.
Happy New Year, everyone.
Yeah, Happy New Year.
I apologize for that, y'all. I couldn't help myself.
I love it. That was excellent.
I've been to Alabama. It's a great place.
Y'all have a great Saturday.
Yeah, you too. Bye-bye.
We're gonna make it rain.